Hi everyone. In this video I'm going to show you how you can take your bill idea, or if you want to get a bill idea, and turn it into the bill that you're going to submit for your assignment in this class. So you'll see I've got my browser open here, and I'm going to start by going to eLearn, and I'm going to download the bill template. So you'll notice that I have lots of American governments because I'm the teacher, but I'm just going to go into one of these. I'm going to view it as a student so it looks like yours. And now I'm going to go into course content, and I'm going to go to assignments and course activities, and then to Congress Day bill writing materials. Okay. Now, here we have the bill template Word document. It says to download this. So I'm just going to come in here and I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to go ahead and download that file and open it up. And I'll make this the right size so you can see it. And then I'm just going to put that away for a minute, and I'm going to come back to that once I have my bill text ready to go. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go to congress.gov. So congress.gov is the website for the U.S. Congress. And you'll notice that when I come here, there's a way to search current legislation. And I can also change that to, lots of different things. What I'm going to do is change this drop down to all legislation. And now what I need to do is I need to try to give this some keywords that will allow me to see what bills have been proposed in the past in Congress. And if I expand this more options little tag here, I can search all Congresses. Here's the trick. I want it to have, let's see here. I want to find something that never made it into law. So what I might do is I might say, something that was not agreed to in the Senate or the House. I'm actually going to choose something that was not agreed to in the Senate because the Senate passes fewer things. The House passes a lot. So by doing this, I'm going to have a better chance of having a nice broad net. And let's say that I was interested in the District of Columbia because I want to write a bill that gives a voting member of the House to members of the District of Columbia. I'm going to search for that. And I'm going to see that there doesn't really appear to be much here that gives me what I'm looking for. So that's unfortunate. I'm going to go back, and I'm just going to keep playing with this. And let me try any action. Since I know this hasn't become a law, perhaps I can just search for District of Columbia. Okay, so here's a bill that was introduced in this Congress. It was introduced on January 9th, and it would allow the District of Columbia and each of the territories to place a statue in the statuary hall, there we go, honoring citizens of states. So if you go to the U.S. Congress, you'll see down in the sort of lower levels of the building, there's a hall where each state has a statue honoring someone from their state. This bill would allow the District of Columbia and each of the territories to do the same. That's not really what I want to do. Let's see. There's all kinds of really interesting things here for the District of Columbia, it doesn't look like there's anything that would give them a member of Congress, which is unfortunate. So at this point, if I was really committed to that, then I might choose to write something on my own. But if I didn't want to do that, then I could find another topic. So what I might do is come back up here and I might say, okay, that was a great idea. Let's go for Puerto Rico. Maybe I'm interested in something to do with Puerto Rico. And so, I mean, notice that we've got 9,000 bills here. It's tons of bills. What we're looking for is something that the latest action on does not say became law. So, for example, if I click on something from the previous Congress, I could scroll down through here and see if there was something that actually did become law. It looks like nothing did. I could pretend to be surprised by that. Let's look at 114. So that's 2015, 2016. Here's one, S2328. This one became public law on June 30th, 2016. So we don't want that because we don't want to introduce a bill that already is a law. But what I can do is I can go in here to the last Congress, so the one that just finished, and I could look for something that did not pass. So, for example, here's the Puerto Rico Economic Empowerment Act of 2018. Oh, here's a nice one. This one is to recognize Puerto Rico's sovereign nationhood under either independence or free association. So that's kind of interesting. Here's one that's about Food Assistance Act. This one has to do with natural disasters. Here's one that renames a post office. So I could pick one of these that looks interesting to me. I'm actually going to go back up to the top of this page. And I'm going to take a look at HR 260. Now, all I'm doing here is I'm looking for a bill that looks pretty similar to something that I would like to see happen. And this bill, HR 260, which is, what is it called? The Puerto Rico Admission Act, says that it expresses the policy that citizens of Puerto Rico may choose whether it will become a state or a nation through and a plebiscite is essentially an election. Okay, so let's say that I think this is a great idea. What I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight and copy this text, and now I'm going to pull open that mock Congress template, and I'm going to use the text that has already been written by someone else in order to give myself a starting place. Now I'm going to paste this with just the text, and now let's talk about this document. So the committee and the bill number you're going to leave blank. Here you would type in your name. You will have a state assignment after. You can find this in eLearn, the week or so that these are due. But let's just say that I'm a student from Tennessee. And here I'm going to say Puerto Rico Sovereign Act. I'm going to give it my own name. The whereas here, we're only going to include that if we want to give a reason why. So I might say, whereas the citizens of Puerto Rico are U.S. citizens who do not enjoy full civil liberties. So what that sentence is saying is essentially, this is the reason I want this bill. If I wanted to, I could just leave that out. Okay, so not every bill will have a whereas. You may find that when you submit your bill that it has a whereas and it turns out that it gets taken out because it just didn't really make sense. I'm going to add in a few little tags here. It thinks that that's a copyright sign. There we go. And this is just so that it makes clear what's going on here. And now I have my bill. What I might want to do is clean up some of this language so it makes more sense. So here I might say we're going to state U.S. policy that the citizens of Puerto Rico may choose whether it will become a state or nation through an election. If the U.S. citizens of Puerto Rico reaffirm the territory's choice of statehood through such an election, and I'm just doing this so that it's a little easier to read. And this goes through the steps that will happen after that. Now, you may be wondering, like, what are these numbers over here and why are they just hanging out? So these are actually in a table. And they're line numbers that appear automatically. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to delete all the line numbers that I'm not using. The reason they're there is so that when we're debating these bills in committee and on the floor, we can refer to a line number. So let's say that this is your bill and I want to offer an amendment that says that Puerto Rico cannot become a nation. I would say, I move to amend line 2 to delete the text or a nation. And that would be my proposed amendment. Now, you would be doing this in committee or on the floor of the House, so you wouldn't be doing that, but those line numbers make it easier for us to talk about the text. So that's why they're there. When you copy in your text, if you should happen to have more text than you have line numbers, so I'm just going to copy this in a couple of times, and you're like, oh, I have lines without numbers. You can just come in here and type in the table so that you have line numbers for each line. And if you have any trouble with that, I will clean that up when you send in the bill. But it will help make this process easier for me as the instructor if you can try to get those line numbers more or less the same length as your bill, just so that we have a line number for every line of your bill. So I'll just finish that. And then once I've done that, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go up to File, and I'm going to save this as. I'm going to put it into the desktop, let's say, and I'm going to call this Sally Student Congress Bill. You can call it whatever you want, but it would be helpful if it has your name in it. And then you can close that, go back to eLearn, go into the Dropbox, and now for my final bill text, I can come in here and I can add my file, and it was on the desktop, I think. Here we go, Sally Student Congress Bill. I'll upload it, I'll add it. That's all you need. Submit it, and now you're done. So the reason that I recommend you do this is so that you don't have to write the text. Now, some of the bills that you're going to find over here in congress.gov, like let's say I wanted to write a bill about guns, and let's see. I'm going to look for a bill here. Let's see, this one is from Cindy Hyde Smith of Mississippi. I'm going to go ahead and pull this bill up. And if I look at the text of this bill, it's going to be pretty long. Actually, it's not that long, but it's a little bit longer than what we saw for the Puerto Rico one. And there's a whole lot of like language in here that we might not need. So you're welcome to come into this text and kind of trim it down so that it's as simple to understand as possible. We don't need to have lots and lots of legislative language in our bills. So if I wanted to, let's see, let me pull up this one. No, I don't want to look at Chris. Let me look at this. So if I look at the text of this bill, this one, notice all these exceptions, I would completely get that out. I would take that out. And, okay, this bill is a terrible example. I'm just looking my way through this. Let's go to something on, actually, you know what? Let me come back here. I'm going to go to this require criminal background checks. Let's take a look at the text of this one. Oh, this one doesn't have text yet. This is what happens when we look for bills in the current Congress. I'm going to look at, I'm just looking for something that's longer. Okay, this one's much longer. Notice that it has lots more information. So if I were going to try to take this bill and turn it into mine, then I might just get this text that talks about it shall be unlawful for any persons to do these things. And I might leave out the penalties, the definitions, the sentencing directives. Like, I don't need to bring all of that text. Okay, I hope I haven't confused you even more by showing you lots of different examples, but that is how you're going to take a bill that already exists and turn it into something that you want to do. Now, if you can't find a bill that matches what you want, then what I encourage you to do is find one that's in the same basic area and try to, use that language to get you started. If you need any help, please reach out to me so that I can help you. Thanks, everyone.